the two fellas sipping a little whiskey and having a chat. Welcome back to Mash and Mingle. My name's Ben. This is Aidan, and we're going to take you on another little spiritual journey, as it were, with something a little bit different today. Aidan, what do we have lined up? What's up your sleeve here?
Ben, check it out. This is not what we're going to be talking about today.
I thought I was having a bit of deja vu. I was like, I'm pretty sure we've looked at these guys before, giving them a fairly solid review, but they've made a return, or not?
Well, Ben, you know, I'm a big fan of Jameson's all over on the South African market. Everybody knows the brand. This particular bad boy here, it's like a Toyota Corolla. It's reliable. It's good value for money. It's boring as hell. Don't even look at one of these while you're driving down the road. You'll just fall asleep behind the wheel.
Right, so that's out.
Yeah. And then we have this bad boy over here, which we've obviously reviewed already. Love it. Go out, try a bottle. Next time you're at a bar, don't just ask for Jameson's. Try Jameson's Select Reserve. It's got a little bit of extra smokiness from the charred barrel. Fantastic. We're also not talking about this bad boy today.
Okay, so we've gotten rid of those two guys. Are we still living within the Jameson family here?
Ben, we're going to stay within the Jameson family, but we're going to introduce something quite unique. And obviously we know that when it comes to imparting flavor, when it comes to really giving whiskey its unique signature, look, everything in the production process matters. But the thing, in my opinion, and I do know that some other whiskey people, or certainly some master distillers agree, barrel is your number one thing.
Okay.
It's what gives the most amount of flavor. So people will, for example, say, what region of Scotland does this particular thing come from? I only like whiskies from this region or that region, but actually region is nowhere near as important as the mash bill. In other words, what grains and what inputs, organic inputs are used to create the alcohol, and in specific, what barrel is. So I would say to people, don't focus on the region anymore, don't focus on the country, look at the barrel, what kind of flavors are in that barrel, how are they going to impart into the whiskey, and then obviously the mash bill, very important.
Okay, perfect. So we've looked at the two guys who we've just given a break to, one of which fairly standard triple distilled. The second one, we understand, sort of heat blasted barrel, ever so slightly maybe toasted. And now, what else can we do with the barrel to give it whatever you're going to surprise us with today?
Right, most barrels come from the global wine industry or fortified wine industry. So you'll find a lot of port barrels and wine barrels and that kind of thing. So they'll use especially things like fortified wine, like a port cask barrel you'll find fairly often. But there's other things that you can now also do in the global market. People are starting to explore a little bit more. For example, bourbon barrels. In America, to make bourbon, one of the rules is that you have to use a virgin oak barrel. So that's why a lot of American whiskeys have a deep oakiness to them. And then those barrels get sold onto the rest of the world. So the Scottish then buy once used. Virgin oak barrels are no longer virgin, they're now being used once. Sure. And they'll then fill it with their whiskey so that they get a little bit of that bourbon flavor profile imparting. The same thing with the wine. So you'll find that a lot of wine productions globally will sell their second-hand barrels to whiskey-producing companies. That wine and that flavor then gets soaked up into that wood over time, that wooden barrel. And then as the barrel heaves and breathes overnight, as it heats and cools, it slowly starts to impart that slightly winey flavor or whatever it is.
Yes.
Enter Jameson's.
Oh, here we go.
Enter Jameson's. These guys are already thinking they're dynamic. It's an amazingly big organization. They've got lots of funding and they can experiment a little bit. And they've gotten something right, Ben.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. Introduce not just one, but two bottles.
Okay.
What is going on with these? These barrels used to have beer in.
All right, so flipping the script here.
That's how I know South Africans are going to like this stuff. Because we're beer drinkers. We have a flavor and we have a palate for beer. And not so much this one. This is an IPA. It's a little bit of an unusual flavor palette for South Africa. We don't usually drink IPAs that often, and we usually don't drink unfiltered Weiss beers.
Yes.
Having said that, an IPA is an amazing flavor profile in a beer. It's completely different to what a lot of beer drinkers expect in South Africa. It's got a little bit of a sharper, more tart kind of flavor. It's just a completely different flavor profile. And by taking Jameson's and putting it into these barrels for a while, You get that normal Jameson's triple distilled whiskey kind of profile with another layer of flavor going in over the top. This one in particular, I enjoy, and I'll tell you why. Because I like Castle Milk Stout.
Well, a firm South African favorite. I think a lot of people, many South Africans across the board, have delved into stout beers. So yeah, seeing the black and the stout there, I was like, okay, cool. Well, here's something that a lot of people can transition into.
My bet is that they're buying barrels from Guinness. That would be my bet. But because of copyright laws, they're probably not using the Guinness name.
Sure.
So you get a little bit of a Guinnessy profile on that. But yeah, if you enjoy a milk stout, you certainly might enjoy something like this. I call black labels Zamalek, I call them 6 volts because they're fairly high in alcohol content.
I'll call them 10-1 because they arrive very quickly. It's the 911 for the people in the States. Here.
Milk stout guy called it 12 volt.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're stepping it up here.
I've had 1 or 2 friends, blessed them, that have ended up in rehab, so they don't drink like they used to drink, but they used to call them 6 volts and 12 volts, and they say, when I really want to rev, I use a 12 volt.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's take a look. So the IPA flavor, again, it's not something that South Africans are going to be used to, but you get floral bouquets in this. You get sweeter, sharper, tartier notes, a little bit of a chlorophyll taste to it. It is something completely different, and what I might recommend is if you buy a bottle of this, do yourself a favor and buy 1 bottle of IPA beer at the same time. Drink the IPA, understand the flavor notes in that, and then afterwards, as a chaser, if you've got time on the weekend, maybe have one of these afterwards, and it'll kind of communicate a little bit with each other. You'll still sort of start to understand how they overlap and why there's a relationship between those barrels and those flavors.
Sure. I think, the IPA has become a little bit more popular over the recent years in South Africa in that we've been introduced to a lot more craft beers, either being import or that we've made locally. And so I think the idea of IPA beer a lot more popular than what it was before. But yes, I think it's a great segue into sampling the IPA whiskey, grab a 6-pack or 2 because they sell them individually as well if you want, and then move from there.
Look, let's get into tasting them. I'm personally going to go for this one first. I have to be honest, I've tasted these both before, and I'm a huge fan of this particular wine. I personally prefer this, but you're going to have to try both, and it's going to be dependent on your palate. So the same way some people like a milk stout, other people like a Castle Light, you're going to find the same with these. And I would say that if you do like a regular fruitier, just stock standard beer, I would say you might lean towards something like this a little bit more. And if you like those darker, richer, deeper, meatier flavors like you get out of a Guinness or a milk stout, those real chocolatey notes, then you might prefer something like this. But you'll just have to give them both a go and see how they work. Which one do you want to go for, Ben?
Oh, I'm going to jump into the stout. The IPA I'm somewhat familiar with, so I'd love to see what this.
I'm amazed again. Every bottle of Jameson's that I've tried has just a very different nose on it. I mean, this smells completely different to everything else I've had before. Normal Jameson triple distilled smells quite flat. There's honestly not much to that. I get a little bit of grass, I get vanilla notes, I get a little bit of nuttiness, and that's fine. That's kind of what you're expecting. Yeah. This has an extra layer to it. I almost don't get that vanilla-y sweetness anymore.
And maybe that's been knocked out by the sort of the slight bitterness of the stout beer.
I have to agree with that, Ben. The richer, deeper flavors of the stout are overwhelming the lighter floral notes and the lighter vanilla and nutty notes that you normally get on the nose. I definitely just get that richer hit of dark beer. So the nose is very different.
Let's give that a whirl.
It's really good, Ben. Oh, and look, You bang on the money. You get a creaminess on the afternote, bro.
A little bit creamy.
I can't believe it.
You often pick it out, I think, for one of the first times, a bit of the butterscotch there.
It's almost halfway between the head on a well-poured Guinness and the oiliness of a pot-stilled Irish whiskey. And this, believe it or not, has pot-stilled Irish whiskey in it. So when they blend, there's pot stills in here.
See, so okay.
Wow, these guys are winning. Like
they know a thing or two about a thing or two, these guys.
Oh, I would highly recommend it. I mean, it's like 50 Rand more bottle than normal Jamesons. It's completely different. I almost get a kind of sweetness like flat Coca-Cola.
Coffee almost, if you will. Just a slight, almost a bit of a coffiness, if you will. But yeah, that's quite fascinating. There's also like there's more of a bite, if you will, that you don't get with the regular triple distilled.
Yeah.
Just got like a bit of an aftertaste and just that bit of alcohol that hovers for a little bit longer.
It's richer and it's deeper. It's amazing. I'm a huge fan of Jameson. Value for money, these guys are rocking. I mean, for 400 Rand, under 400 Rand a bottle, this is really, really nice. I have to go this one now.
Well, while we're here, yeah.
I absolutely have to know what this thing tastes like.
Having sampled so much variation in beers, IPAs, and the different variances there.
There is a word that I'm looking for to describe this IPA. It's a very common IPA flavor, and the name escapes me right now.
Okay.
But IPA has a very specific, almost tart, slightly sourish note to it.
Okay.
That is from one of the grains that they use in it. Like I said, the name's escaping me right now, and I'm wondering if I'm going to find that same flavor in here.
Finishing IPA barrels. Yeah.
Whoa!
Way different. A little bit. Some of the fruitiness coming up a lot lighter smell, if that makes sense.
It is just so completely different. And what's amazing to me is I'm getting baked bread. The smell of a little bit of baked bread. Yeah. I'm getting wheatiness.
Getting some of the fruity, citrusy is what's...
No doubt about it, Ben.
Tickling over there.
I almost get a slightly grapey smell, but fresh cut grapes. Not like brandy. It's a completely different profile.
That's fascinating. Let's give it a swirl.
Again, Jamesons are really, really good when it comes to blending and making sure that the whiskies round out nicely, that the last flavor you're left with at the back of the sip is not something harsh. It's not an outlying standalone flavor. All of their whiskies seem to just kind of mellow out nicely.
Do you know what this gives me? So, because we've spoken about the Jameson range or the family throughout, this is a nice evolution from the standard general Jameson triple distilled. Like if you want something that's got a slightly different flavor profile that elevates it to the next level, I think it's a nice stepping stone into the rest of the range.
It's 50 Rand more bottle is the difference between the triple distilled and something like this. And frankly, this is a much nicer pour. I still prefer the stout version, simply because it's just flavors that I'm familiar with. It has that chocolatiness. I like chocolate. It's got that stout flavor. I like that as well. So this really appeals to me. But for me, if you walked into a bottle store in South Africa at the moment and you bought a bottle of Jamesons and for 40, 50 Rand a bottle more, you didn't at least consider one of these. Yeah. Oh, what a crying shame that would be.
No, what a pity. Yeah. It would be a complete loss. But yeah, I'm super impressed with the Jameson's offering.
Yeah, it smells a little bit, this one, like a freshly watered garden. You know, like you just watered your garden, you getting those nice gardeny floral notes coming off the earth. Fantastic. I would highly recommend this. If you're a beer lover, and South Africans are beer lovers, let's just face it, we are.
Because beers go with every occasion, be it a wedding, it's something sad, be it a celebration, sporting game, beers go everywhere. So yeah.
And not just that, but in South Africa, I mean, imagine getting a tourist and you say to them, they come from, I don't know, anywhere in Europe, and you say to them, in South Africa, for less than €1, in fact, for 70 euro cents, 50 pence in England, I can take you to almost any bottle store in the country and you'll buy 1.5 pints of alcohol in a sealed glass bottle made fresh, because the SA Breweries distribution networks are off the hook, and that will cost you 50 pence or 75 euro cents.
No, they're full of their chairs.
I mean, it's just
that's
yeah.
It's a punchline to a great joke. That
This is a great bottle. This would cost this is something like £15 or 20 euros a bottle. It's just an enormous amount of value for money. Look, in South Africa, we've got to live with hijackings. We've got no electricity. The water's going out, but we don't pay too much for whiskey, and we get good beer on the cheap. And it's one of those things that we just got to appreciate while we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, these have been fantastic. I mean, we are super chuffed with these. Yeah. And like Aidan said, do yourself a favor. Go to any one of the reputable bottle stores. You'll be able to find these and the full range of Jameson products. Have a sample, have a taste. Maybe grab the IPA beer in the week before you jump into the actual whiskey itself. If you want a bit of a treat that's slightly different, jump into the Stout. I mean, there's nothing wrong. And as always, make sure that you are drinking responsibly. Make sure that you're also sharing with friends and family. I think these also, they bring a new energy to different occasions. So do the right thing. Be safe, drink responsibly, and share it with the people.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with obviously everything you said, Ben. You're always correct 100% of the time. Although there's one or two ladies in his life that might not agree. And yeah, please like, subscribe, and share. We will be doing some giveaways in the next couple of weeks to random subscribers. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Aidan. This is Ben. It's been fantastic. Thank you for joining us on Mash and Mingle.
Cheers.
Cheers for now, Ben.